I think all innovation is simple. It's hard to get to that simplicity, but once you get there, you know that you have it. You don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you just want to drive to the place where you find the answer.
I think innovators are people who are able to spot opportunity and bring together the resources, the people, the partnerships.
I'm reminded of the famous quote of Walter Gretzky, the father of Wayne Gretzky, the ice hockey great. Walter famously said to his son, "The key is skating to where the puck is going to be, not where it's been." I think that's what innovators do. They figure out, first of all, where do we need to be in the future, and then they figure out what's the path to get there.
When I cook, I'm not very innovative. I heat up some meat, I heat up a vegetable, I heat up a potato. That's cooking, it's not innovation. People who can take ingredients that you've never heard of and turn them into something wonderful, that's innovation.
Somebody who has a passion for finding what that new is and being able to activate the new within the context in which they're working.
Someone who sees the need for change and sees themselves first as an agent of that change.
Who really is able to change the thinking of a particular field or discipline.
I would see an innovator as someone who looks at the world differently, who's open to new ideas, who's able to see new ways of solving old problems.
Someone that isn't bound by the rules and the boundaries that exist in a field or an area. Someone that can see past those or see things differently.
To innovate requires an enormous amount of courage.
People who say, I'm willing to jump out into the dark and I don't care how I land.
Someone who looks failure straight in the face and says, I'm not going to be deterred, I'm not going to come back and try something new and something different. What I'm going to do is keep on going.
And I think really innovative people ask questions that many of us would not necessarily ask.
And I see this with mothers and grandmothers all across the genetic disease community spectrum who take a bad situation and say, I'm not going to sit here and think about this as a bad situation, I'm going to open this up so all of us start talking and fighting.
What's an innovator? It's somebody who looks at things that are certified to be impossible and says, well, why exactly? Wants to take things that seem outrageous and figure out how they might just be possible.
It's already there, we just need to find the ways to tap into it.
To do something that looks obvious when it's been done, but seemed impossible before.
And usually to do that, you have to be willing to think in crazy ways. You have to be willing to throw overboard assumptions.
There was this feeling early on in my career that I could do more than just helping patients one at a time or just families one at a time. I could have a population perspective.
When I was just a fellow, I thought, why not use this thing called the internet to assemble medical records? I mean, it's good enough for sending data from point A to point B. It was obvious. And it was just at that right time, assembling the technology and doing something that was new, novel, and edgy. It wasn't really that extreme a thought.
Oh, I think we would just like to see people leading healthier and to enjoy life. And, make use of their own capabilities and not be held back by poverty or disease.
I think for me, I usually don't know someone's an innovator until later. And when I then look back and say, well, when did I first encounter innovation in them? And I would say it was irritation. I think that's an important aspect of innovators. They first irritate because they don't follow the program, they don't believe in the way you're doing things. They want to do it differently. And many of us respond to that as we're irritated. And I think that's a great hallmark of an innovator because I think they irritate and then they start to develop others interested in them and a groundswell, and then they start to make change and you realize this isn't irritation, this is innovation.
For the same period that the Genetic Alliance grew up, the human genome grew up too. It went from being an absolutely crazy idea to being something that might just vaguely be possible, to be something that could possibly get done, to something that was getting done, to something that was done, to something that now can be done again and again and again. And it's just breathtaking to see what can happen when a whole community comes together around a really ambitious idea and just turns it into reality.